Good Friday afternoon to you, 4 o'clock time for Sports for CLE. Thanks for joining us. Hope your weekend is off to a great start. Well, weekend got started a little early in Cleveland as the Browns last night clinched a spot in the AFC playoffs with an impressive win over the New York Jets at Cleveland Browns Stadium. Let's hit it into the locker room. Listen to Kevin Stefanski addressing the team after the win.
Hey, how about that team win? Hey, the journey continues, and we're just getting started. What you did tonight was you earned that second season. That's what you earned, okay? And what I saw tonight was, guys, you know what I saw? It was, I got your back. It was, I got your back. And we had teammates on our sideline that weren't with us, okay? But they are with us, and they got our back. And what this team has showed time and time again is that I will fight my ass off for my teammate. And I appreciate that, fellas, okay? That's what makes great teams, okay? This second season that we're going into, there's going to be a bunch of great teams. That's what it is. But the team I see in here is a connected football team that will not be denied for the brother next to you, okay? That's the truth. We still have work to do. Yes, sir. Work to do. We got work to do, but I'm telling you, fellas, you earned it tonight. You earned it. You took care of business, and you earned it. I'm proud of you guys. Team on three. 1, 2, 3.
Browns will have a couple of days off as the rest of the league catches up, playing Saturday, Sunday to get things going through the week 17 of the regular season. Joe Flacco talked about the atmosphere in that game, clinching game, Cleveland Browns Stadium, playoff clinching game, Cleveland Browns Stadium last night.
I haven't played in a game where, you know, every stadium has these LED lights now, so you can just turn them off and turn them right back on. And come out of the tunnel with, I don't know if people had their iPhones going or if they gave them. I mean, it was really cool, unbelievable atmosphere. So yeah, to get it done in front of the home crowd, to actually get ourselves into that next step in the season, it definitely made it extra special.
Did you hear the Flacco chants?
Yeah, I heard him a little bit. Yeah.
What did you think?
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, just put yourself in that position. I mean, you can't deny it. It's you know, I said it from the very beginning. I mean, the city's been unbelievable. My teammates have been unbelievable, like in terms of just embracing me onto this football team. So it's all been great, and it makes it that much more special to, you know, be able to come in here and play some good football.
So welcome in Jacob Roach from BrownsWire.com. And Jacob, you can tell Joe Flacco's enjoying himself. That's a good thing.
Absolutely. He's enjoying what he's doing probably as much as we're enjoying fun, just to see him kind of be out there and just being everything we hoped we would one day see from a Browns quarterback. You know, it's like it's insane to me that Flacco comes into this. He had the 3 straight 300-yard games coming into this, and he had never done that before. And then he gets 4, and it's just like it feels almost like a fairy tale ride, and it seems like Flacco's enjoying it just as much as us, and I'm having a ball.
So DTR put on the injured list last week. Browns needed a quarterback to kind of fill out the room, if you will, that third quarterback. They got him today. They've signed Jeff Driscoll to the active roster off of the Cardinals practice squad. They released Sam Kamara in a corresponding move. It's kind of interesting. So Cardinals practice squad means he was with Drew Petzing, so I'm sure they got a little bit of information on how Driscoll has looked and if he is back. Again, Scott's played in the NFL for a couple of years.
Yeah, his rookie season in Cincinnati in 2018, he's been with 4 different teams, or started games with 4 different teams, and then of course was with the Cardinals, his 5th team on the practice squad. He's got played in over 20 games, started 10 of them, or 11 of them, I'm sorry, and you know, he's a guy that's got 14 career touchdown passes, but you know, he's got some familiarity probably with the system, because what Petzing's doing over there is probably fairly similar to some of the stuff that the Browns have done, having come from the Browns to go over there with Jonathan Gannon. And I just think you can't risk what, for example, you can't risk going into the playoffs what happened to the 49ers last year after Brock Purdy and Josh Johnson got hurt. You can't go into the playoffs with only 2 quarterbacks. You got to get one in to get him up to speed since DTR won't come back. So getting Driscoll in right now so that he's ready come the postseason, it's another really solid move, I think.
So the Browns have clinched a playoff spot. Only the second time since they've been, or third time since they've been back. But question now is, how much damage can they do? Michael Irvin, Keyshawn Johnson, talk about that. FS1's undisputed.
This is going to be a tough team, a tough team. This is one of the teams that I don't care who you are in the AFC, you don't want to see. And Key mentioned it, Baltimore is the most dangerous team. In Cleveland, they feel comfortable playing against Baltimore. I would be really worried about Cleveland if I'm in the AFC. Any team in the AFC.
And them teams that win these Super Bowls recently, for the most part, defenses are winning and getting to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
And they're number one in a lot of the categories
They are.
defensively.
Yep.
They got a defense.
This is a different Joe, though. This is a different Joe Flacco. Still, you know, and even the first time around, I think about this. You know, Joe was Joe, but he wasn't really the man in Baltimore.
No, the man
Ray
was
Lewis
Sugar
was
Bear.
that. Ray
Bear was the man.
Ray was that.
Yeah.
Ray, but I'm talking about from a leadership standpoint, from a loud talking standpoint. I see a different Joe. I see a more assertive Joe Flacco with Cleveland.
Good point.
Because he doesn't have Ray Lewis on the side. Yeah, you got Myles Garrett over there, but Myles Garrett ain't Ray Lewis. And
No.
man, I'm talking about the boisterous leader
Yep.
that he is. So now,
Good point.
Joe Flacco, who's a Super Bowl MVP, stands tall. That kid last night, he didn't flatten that route out on the back of the end zone.
Yeah.
And Joe was like, you got to flatten that out when you get to the back of the end zone, because that would have been another touchdown. He kept going up and went right out of the end
Yep.
zone. Joe asserting that kind of
It
power.
seems like
And Jacob, he's kind of taken control of the offense quickly. And Kevin Stefanski's more than happy that he did.
Yeah, it feels like the quarterback and head coach are in perfect sync in this situation. Just Joe Flacco has come in there. You've seen everybody, all the interactions you've seen, or any of the players or coaches that have talked about Flacco. I haven't heard a negative comment from anybody since he stepped in. And you can just see it. You know, he was chest bumped Deshaun Watson after a touchdown on yesterday. And you can just see people flocking to him. And he's just got this, Irvin kind of talked about it there, just boisterous personality, it seems. It's just like people want to play with Joe. I saw him on Pat McAfee today and things like that. And it was just like, he just seems so easygoing, so laid back, and he's just enjoying himself, and he's passing on the knowledge that he has, because I've heard him say it multiple times. Hey, I played in a lot of football games. I've seen a lot of situations. I played in December football. And so for those young guys to be able to see and hear from a guy that's been there and done that and been a Super Bowl MVP, I think it matters a lot. And I think Joe I think he knows the sky's the limit right now. And I have to agree.
So Greg Newsome and a couple of the other Browns took to social media. Greg Newsome, it's for you, Cleveland. We're not done yet, and that's kind of there's a confidence that you sense anytime you see or hear. They think they got a run in them.
Yeah, and it's like right now you've got all 3 of those corners healthy. Like, speaking of Greg Newsome, and having those 3 corners healthy we've seen so far has just, when all 3 of them on there, it was like the offense didn't do anything in the second half. I mean, they didn't. Joe Flacco threw for like 13 yards in the second half last night. But that game was never in doubt, because the corners, the defensive line, the linebackers, they said, oh, okay, we're down Amari, we're down Elijah Moore, we're having some fumble issues. That's all right. You guys, don't worry about it. The defense will take over. And they have the ability to just, when they play complementary football, you see what happens in the first half. In the second half, the defense said, hey, we're confident. We know how good we are. We know we can shut the door here and clinch that playoff berth. And I think that's kind of the stuff that Greg Newsome's been talking about all season and doing some of that stuff on social media. But they had that interview with the 3 corners before the game, and it just, you can see they understand, and they're very confident and understand how talented the group they have is.
All right, let's head to the voicemail of Truth and Reason for the first time today.
Hi, Dave. Howard from Marin County. I am speechless. I'm an old man who hasn't seen the Browns be really this good for decades, and I thank God that I'm still alive to see this. This is absolutely wonderful. Stefanski and Barry are the best that I have seen since I was a kid. Hope they will get extended, which I know they will. And please, let's have Flacco stay and play next year. I know they put a lot of money into Deshaun, but I believe Flacco is just outstanding. Take care, and we're all celebrating tonight. Bye.
As always, appreciate all the voicemails. Jacob, it's going to be Joe Flacco's call. I don't. If somebody drops a pile of money in front of him and says, "Come be our starting quarterback," I guess he's going to go. But again, 39, he looks really good. The question is, can he hold up for an extended season?
Yeah, that's the $1 million question when you look at him past this year. I know there's been some conversations. I've seen some media members suggest that there's a decent enough chance that Flacco could be back. If he comes back, it'll be as Watson's backup, unless Watson is not healthy and ready for the season, that sort of thing, because of the investment that is there. But I've seen Flacco talk quite a bit since this season, and it seems apparent to me, he's definitely going to try to play next year. Where, I don't know, but you could see a team go out there and sign him and pay him, because not only is he playing good football right now, he's playing the best football of his career. He's never thrown this many yards in a 4-game stretch and 13 touchdowns. I know he's, turning the ball over a little bit here and there, but I would not be shocked if somebody goes out there and gives him like a 1-year, $15+ million to be kind of a stopgap for like if they draft a rookie. But if he's interested, I would absolutely have him back in Cleveland next year. No questions about it.
Yeah, I agree with you. And so many teams need quarterbacks. I'm with you. Somebody's going to give them $15, $18 million for a year and see what happens. All right, before we go to break, this is kind of interesting. Browns PFF tweets this out. Browns will finish with a better record than the Pittsburgh Steelers for the first time since 1989. That's hard to believe, but it's true.
Yeah, and it's like you even think about the playoffs in 2020, and they were still just a little bit above the Browns. They're always there, and it's just they're as I know Browns fans aren't going to want to hear me say this, but they're what you want to aspire to be as an organization, just like a beacon of consistency. So trying to see the way Barry and Stefanski and everybody else have kind of tried to completely shift this culture and lay the groundwork to be a consistent competitor for, years and years and years, not just 1 year wonder. It's been really fun. And I think that this it's one of those random stats that makes you a little sad, but also makes you realize that this is really changing for the good.
Jacob Roach from BrownsWire.com and I are going to step aside, take a quick time out. Other side of the break, we'll head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason, Sports4CLE. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Ugh. Holiday gold! The $20 scratch-off?
It has 100 times multiplier. I could win $1 million.
Psych! I got merry and bright.
No fair.
It has a 200 times multiplier. I could win $2 million.
Game on the back.
Game on the back. Game on the back! Game on the back! Game on the back! Game on the back! Game.
We continue talking Browns with Jacob Roach from BrownsWire.com. Let's head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Hi, this is Rico. I just want to say congratulations, man, to the Browns and to Stefanski and the fans. What a heck of a job everybody did throughout this season. And for Andrew Barry providing the players necessary to help us endure all those injuries. This is an amazing feeling, man, and I'm so proud of this team. Some in the media say that the dog pound is dead, but it's not dead. It's an attitude. It's the never say never, never quit Cleveland attitude. It's the atmosphere. It's the fans. I mean, no one believes in this, man. So it's Cleveland against the world. I'm so proud, and I'm going to enjoy the ride, man. Let's go Browns. Woo!
As always, appreciate all of the voicemails. Jacob, take a look at this. Adam Schefter tweets this out. Kevin Stefanski has now become the first coach to lead multiple teams of the Browns to playoff berths since Marty Schottenheimer, who led them to 4 straight postseason appearances from 1985 to 1988. Again, that's ridiculously long. And I want to point out, Marty Schottenheimer got fired after a playoff loss.
Right. Wouldn't we be happy to be able to fire a coach after a playoff loss because that's where we were? Yeah, that'd be a whole different kind of ball game. I saw this other stat when it comes to Kevin Stefanski and the job he's done, that the Browns' longest win streak since 1999 is 4 games. That has happened 4 times since 99, and 3 of them have been with Kevin Stefanski as the head coach. So we've searched high, low, tried every different type of approach to go and get a head coach and find a GM that could finally make this work. And I think it's a very apparent that Kevin Stefanski is the guy. He's finally here. We finally have a guy. Extend him, build around him. And I would also like to remind you that for the most part, everything he's accomplished has been with average to slightly average quarterback play. He still has not gotten an elite season of a true franchise quarterback. I mean, he's gotten this run from Flacco here, but, you know, he had some of the worst quarterback play we've seen at times in some of the games earlier this year before Flacco came to town. And it's just, to me, I don't know how you could give coach of the year to anybody else. They have over 25% of their salary cap on injured reserve right now. They were down to 4 healthy wide receivers last night. And yet here we are, 11 wins, could get 12 next week. And you're sitting pretty and you're in the postseason. I just sign the extension now, please.
So Dan Orlovsky from ESPN's First Take talked about what he's seen from the Browns under Kevin Stefanski.
Kevin Stefanski, I believe, is wrapped up coach of the year as well. There was guys, D'Amico Ryans absolutely, and Shane Steichen in that conversation, Sean McVay. I think because of what has transpired over the past couple weeks, part of that is because Kevin Stefanski is just wrapped up coach of the year, and that's one of the reasons why Joe is playing so well. I think your point of the house money is completely fair. I think that's why we see some of the throws that work out and some of the throws that don't. Because Joe has always been naturally very physically talented. He's always been a dude. You played against him a bunch. He could throw it.
Throw them all.
He could throw it, and so you're watching a guy that doesn't have fear of consequence, partly because of the moment and the situation, partly because he knows that the defense is so great. I've always believed quarterbacks that play with great defenses, you could be a little bit more aggressive with the football because you're probably going to get bailed out. You don't have to be. This isn't 30 years ago when defenses were great and you'd sit there and go, as long as we protect the ball and we play good special teams, we can win.
Now it's like, let's go get it.
100%. Let's let the defense play with a lead. Here's my point when it comes to, there's something to this. If we're just being football on the field specific honest, with Kevin Stefanski, we've watched 3 quarterbacks play at a good to really good level in this offense over the last 6 years. Kirk Cousins is 1. Baker Mayfield is 2. Joe Flacco is 3. I don't think any of us are going to sit here and say those are 3 of the most physically talented players in the NFL at that position. But for some reason, the offense has been good under those 3 guys.
Yeah, it's a very valid point relative to not only Coach of the Year, but this offense, and guys seem to thrive in it.
Yeah, I think the Stefanski is really good at understanding the skill set his quarterbacks have and how to put them in the right positions to win. He hasn't played or coached with a ton of athletic quarterbacks, and you've seen some of those issues with Watson, but I think they were getting better prior to the injury. I just think he is not the kind of coach that is too stubborn to admit he needs to adjust. If he needs to adjust, if there's something else he needs to do better, more play action, more misdirections, shorter passes, whatever it might be, I feel like he has shown multiple times that he can figure that out. He can make it work. I'd add Jacoby Brissett to that list of guys that are not the most physically talented, but under Kevin Stefanski played the absolute best stretch of football he ever did. Jacoby never put up those numbers. And, of course, he wasn't able to get as many wins as we wanted to see, but he has really elevated the game of players that might not be, he's not elevating Patrick Mahomes. He's not getting that specimen out there, but he's making guys look a lot better than they've pretty well looked anywhere else. And of course, Baker's playing really well in Tampa right now, of course. But in the other situations before that, he wasn't playing like he did in that, Stefanski offense. And I just think he really understands how to attack defenses and highlight the strengths while also hiding the weaknesses of his quarterbacks. And it's just, again, that's why I'm all on the Stefanski train, and it's just, there's something to a quarterback and a coach believing in each other. And that is exactly what you're seeing right now. They both believe, hey, Joe believes Kevin will call the right plays, and Kevin believes Joe will execute the plays that are called. And that's when you get that, you're a pretty dangerous team, especially with a defense like this.
So the other thing is Ryan Clark, former defensive back for the Pittsburgh Steelers, from that same ESPN First Take show, how the rest of the AFC is viewing the Browns.
It's okay that Joe Flacco may not be the quarterback of the future for the Cleveland Browns, or you may not have to make him the franchise going forward, because what he's doing right now and the feeling around this team is going to make this team the scariest out in all of the AFC. And that doesn't mean I think that they're better than the Baltimore Ravens, right? Because we're going to expect excellence from the Baltimore Ravens. What I think this means is that if you're the team that wins the East, whether it be the Miami Dolphins or the Buffalo Bills, you're scared when this team comes to town. Yeah. Right? If you're the team that wins the West, who will be the Kansas City Chiefs, you would be scared when this team came to town. If you're the team that win the AFC South, you for sure scared as hell if the Cleveland Browns come to your stadium.
And Jacob, I'm chuckling at that. The other thing is the Browns believe they can go into Baltimore and beat them, especially with Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco wins playoff games on the road.
Yeah, and the thing that really sticks with me talking about their confidence, thinking they can go somewhere and win, they think that. I go back to after the Texans game on Sunday when Amari Cooper got the game ball, and he said, and I'm going to probably butcher exactly what he said, but he said something like, when we play our brand of football, no one can compete with us. And it really felt like, everybody in that room watching, they all hooped and hollered when he said it. It felt like every single one of them believed exactly what Cooper was saying. They're all bought in. They understand, hey, we got to work our tails off. We may go, we're down this guy, we're down that guy. No excuses, show up, do your job. And, Stefanski said it too, when we do our job, this is what happens. And, they've got a great blend of veterans that have been there, done that. I know that was one of Juan Thornhill's things when he signed here. He was saying, I'm going to show, what he wanted to bring here was the winning culture. He was a 2-time Super Bowl winner in Kansas City. And when you have nothing to lose and everything to gain, and you believe in everybody around you, you are as dangerous as it comes. I mean, the Browns lead the league in turnovers. They've turned the ball over more than anybody, but they also have forced more turnovers than anybody. And it's such a weird trend. It's like they know they're going to turn the ball over, but they're like, defense has got us. It's like, and there's been games where the offense has done the same thing on the other side where they're like, don't worry about it. Defense will take care of it. And I'm with them 100%. I think nobody wants to play him in the postseason.
Jacob Roach from BrownsWire.com, and I'm going to step aside, take a quick time out. Other side of the break, back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason. Sports4CLE will be right back. Stay with us.
Come back to go forward. Back to learning new things. Back to pursuing your dreams. Tri-C has flexible learning options to fit your life. And every year, more than 1,000 local companies provide Tri-C students with real-world learning. The right education can boost your lifetime earning power by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Start now with a college education you can afford. Tri-C, where futures begin.
We continue talking Browns with Jacob Roach from BrownsWire.com. Let's head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
The Browns
have had a horrible time trying to run the ball the last couple of weeks, and I didn't know if there was a possibility for us to maybe sign a free agent running back just to get Joe Flacco some help moving the ball down the field. I obviously love seeing Joe Flacco light it up, but I think when we get to the playoffs here, you're going to have to be able to run the ball. And so, anyways, go Browns. Didn't know if we had a chance to sign another running back that could help give us that push. Thank you so much.
As always, appreciate all of the voicemails. And Jacob, I would imagine Andrew Berry's looking and hasn't found anything that he likes. Running game was a little bit better. Jerome Ford showed a little bit last night. Line was a little bit better, but there aren't a lot. There's not a lot out there because everybody's looking to get that roster the way it needs to be for the playoff push.
I mean, if it's me, I'm just going to try to see if I can entice Leonard Fournette to leave the Bills practice squad to come over here in the active roster. I mean, I don't know why you would, but like I would just give him a call and see what he has to say. I really liked what the running game did, and then they started fumbling the football. Like it was like when they did finally, like you said, the line was looking better, especially the interior, Joel and Wyatt Teller and Posick. They were playing really good football last night. And then, you had the Ford fumble, which gets overturned, but you get the Pierre Strong fumble when they starting to figure some of these things out. But I think we see it already happened today. They went and signed a veteran backup quarterback to add to the room so that they had more insurance behind Flacco and PJ Walker. And if there's one out there, I think they'll make the move. And I think there's a decent chance they do. But kind of like you said, you're at the point where everybody's trying to figure out something. So unless some veteran gets cut by a team that's already been eliminated, like, maybe somebody waives a player so he has a chance to go to try to win a championship with a playoff team. I think that was probably your best bet, but I don't know how likely that is. My biggest thing is I'm going to figure out how to talk to these running backs about ball security, because I think what they had last night outside of the fumbles was more than enough to really they could have salted the game away if they weren't turning it over.
So Brian Baldinger, former offensive lineman, give us a look at the Browns' run game against the Jets last night.
Cleveland got the running game cranked up last night. You look at him right here, and here comes Wyatt Teller. All right, nice blocks right here by Bitonio and Njoku, but there's the block. Now Jerome Ford can cut off it. Solid 10-yard gain. He ran well, but they blocked well up front. Watch the draw play right here. Wyatt Teller and Posick. Bam! Knock him over. Now go up there and pick off Quincy Williams. And there goes Jerome Ford for 16 yards. Like they ran for 125 yards last night. You watch this right here. This is better than anything that you listen to at the Cleveland Symphony, because that's exactly what it is. Here comes Bitonio. Here comes Posick. And look at everybody in Njoku. Look at this. Like, this is some beautiful music right here. It's a symphony is what it is. It's well done. And then this, the inside trap. Like, just imagine John Wooten pulling and Jim Brown running right up the gut right here. Teller sets up Bitonio. They kiss. Look at that kiss. Can't get any better than that. Kareem Hunt, into the end zone. I would say that the dog pound approves of that.
And Jay, it's an offensive lineman's approach to how good that was a pretty good defense that they torched them in the first half.
Yeah, I mean, they were the number 3 defense in overall EPA going into this game. I mean, they were one of the more efficient defenses. The only 2 were better than them going into this game, and they hung 34 on them in the first half. I just think, it's all about ball security when it comes to that, because like he said, when those linemen are pulling and moving like that and climbing, like that's where Wyatt Teller earned his extension, was climbing to the second level and pulling out lead blocking and sealing edges and just creating cutback lanes for the running backs. And they were finally doing it in a situation where they hadn't. I mean, they were getting less than 2 yards per carry the last 3 games. They go out there and get $125 on the ground. If you can get 100 yards out of this run game going forward in the playoffs, and Flacco continues to do what he does, that's pretty complimentary football right there. And that's pretty good. If it really adds to the play action that they have already been doing at such a high level. But yeah, I'm all for it. I mean, the offensive line's finally looking like the offensive line that we thought they were going to be, despite being on their 5th and 6th tackles at this point. But it was really encouraging to finally see it get back to what we knew it was capable of being.
Take a look at this again from Browns PFF. David Njoku, 373 receiving yards since Week 14, second among all players. So he is a guy that Joe Flacco has figured out. Get the ball in his hands in some space and let him run into the secondary and watch guys get out of the way.
He's finally the player that we felt he was when he was a first-round pick at 20 years old coming out of Miami several years ago. And it's funny, it's his 7th year, but he really is only 27 years old. So he's still entering kind of the prime of his career. And it's like, when they signed that extension, there were a lot of people that were angry. I took a lot of heat. I was writing for Dog Pound Daily at the time, but I took a lot of heat saying that it was a great move. But it's like, when you see what he does, he finds ways like that the first reception he had, it was like 38 yards. He just found a way. He's like, oh, this is the coverage you're going to play? Well, if I go right over here, nobody's going to be there. And there was nobody around him. And then he's able to accelerate. He just kind of glides down the field, accelerates and outruns 2 players, gets over to the right, almost outruns a couple more. And it's just, it's crazy to think about the size and speed and athleticism combo that he has. While he's not as big as Myles Garrett, I think the blend of power, speed, size, athleticism is on the same mold as what Myles Garrett is on the other side. And I just think, with a quarterback that understands how to get him the ball in the open space, I think, David Njoku is just an absolute weapon and something that's going to keep offensive coordinators up at night going into the postseason.
All right, before I let you go. Browns are probably going to be the 5th seed. So that means, unless the Ravens lose 2 home games, which it's possible, but they're likely going to be the 5th seed. That means road. They will be playing playoff games on the road. But the Browns with Joe Flacco still should be feared, according to Skip Bayless. This again from FS1's Undisputed.
He is 10-5 in the postseason.
Yeah, he's great.
He has thrown 25 touchdowns to 10 interceptions in the postseason. In that 2012 4-game run to the Super Bowl championship, he threw 11 touchdown passes to 0 picks.
Ooh,
he went to New England in his playoff career 4 times. He had to go face Belichick and Brady in New England, and he played great in all 4 games. They only won 2, but they should have won 2 more because they went to the wire.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Was that Evans that dropped the ball? It was like
dropped it, hit him right
in the hands. Yeah.
Game's over if he catches. Okay, so he should have won 3 out of the 4, could have won all 4 of them. That's how well he played against Bill Belichick's defense in the cold in New England.
Jacob, what he's saying is there isn't a situation that Joe Flacco will not embrace.
Yeah, I think the confidence that Flacco is playing with and kind of the relaxed nature where he's just out there just having fun and just playing, like every play's his last. He's already playing like he's in the playoffs. It feels like that's how he's been. He said, he in his first post game after his first win, he said in the locker room, this is December football. This is December and January football. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be a slugfest. But as long as we got each other's backs, we're going to be perfectly fine. And so I'm not worried at all about them going on the road. Flacco's done it before. I think this team, they're getting hot at the right time. We watched Aaron Rodgers win a Super Bowl because he got red hot at the end of the year, just went on the road, beat a bunch of players, won a Super Bowl. And I don't see why there's no reason why Joe Flacco can't do it. I mean, I'm not calling for a Super Bowl victory right now, but I'm not calling for it either.
Jacob Roach, BrownsWire.com as always. Appreciate the time and the insight. Thanks very much, Jacob.
Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it, guys.
Jacob Roach, make sure you check him out. Always really good stuff. BrownsWire.com. We're going to step aside, take a quick time out. We continue talking Browns. Brad Ward from the Orange and Brown Report. Straight ahead.
Come back to go forward. Back to learning new things. Back to pursuing your dreams. Tri-C has flexible learning options to fit your life. And every year, more than 1,000 local companies provide Tri-C students with real-world learning. The right education can boost your lifetime earning power by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Start now with a college education you can afford. Tri-C, where futures begin.
Holiday gold! The $20 scratch-off?
It has 100 times multiplier. I could win $1 million.
Psych! I got merry and bright. No fair. It has a 200 times multiplier. I could win $2 million.
Game on the back.
Game on the back. Game on the back! Game on the back! Game on the back! Game on the back!
I am powerful beyond my wildest imagination.
I will define my future.
I will keep challenging myself to improve.
Because I am a future leader of this great nation. I will be responsible for raising a beautiful family.
And educating not only my generation, but many more to come.
I will make a difference in my community.
And I will stand up for what I believe in. I will not settle for simply chasing my dreams. I will achieve them.
Because I was given a chance.
An opportunity.
A home.
At Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America.
The ultimate leadership experience.
FCCLA has been one of the greatest experiences of my life.
It's made me who I am today.
Join us. We'll build a new future together.
We continue talking Browns on Sports4CLE. Let's head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Hi, I'm a former Berea resident, and I've been thinking that Joe Flacco's been great for Cleveland Browns, but I'm also wondering if this was an ideal situation for a 38-year-old quarterback like Joe Flacco, because he got to skip training camp, preseason, and the wear and tear of the first 10 games or so, and got to come in at the end of the season and be a hero. But he's been playing great either way, and thanks for taking my call. Go Browns.
As always, appreciate all the voicemails. Let's welcome in Brad Ward from the Orange and Brown Report, the All Eyes on Cleveland podcast. Brad, I think I think that absolutely is true, that not going through training camp, not taking the beating the first how many ever weeks has kept Joe Flacco fresh, hungry, and he looks good. He looks as good as he has.
I don't think I've ever seen him play better. Now, I haven't watched all of Joe Flacco's games, but from what we've watched him play against the Browns, I don't think we've ever seen him play. I mean, he may have played more efficiently, but he's playing with, I don't want to say a reckless abandon, but he's playing with a confidence and just kind of slinging it mentality that, you know, can be dangerous at times, but has certainly lifted the ceiling of this offense, right? And I think there absolutely has something to do with him being fresh. He talked about it last night a little bit, getting a different perspective from watching things, you know, from his couch and when he wasn't playing on some other teams. He's also in this offense. I don't think there's any coincidence that with Stefanski and this offense fits him nicely. If you look at his best career season with Baltimore, was in 2014 under Gary Kubiak. I don't think that's a coincidence at all.
So Ryan Clark, former defensive back for the Pittsburgh Steelers, talked about why Joe Flacco fits so well in Kevin Stefanski's offense with the Browns.
When you have a Deshaun Watson or you have these guys with some of these unique talents, especially being able to use their legs, you start to mold your offense into what you think they can be, into what you think they are. Now Kevin Stefanski is doing what he really wants to do. It's the reason that Kirk Cousins is mentioned with the Cleveland Browns anytime Kirk Cousins becomes someone that could be on the trade block, because Kevin Stefanski doesn't need this dude that can go so far above the X's and O's. He needs somebody that can execute what he's asking. And that's what Joe Flacco has done at a higher level than any quarterback in the last 2 years for the Cleveland Browns. But here's also why I say it's lightning in the bottle. Okay. Because any other quarterback that we're expecting a certain thing from that has 8 interceptions in 4 games, one of those being a pick 6, 2 of those being a pick 6, Tremaine Edmonds with the Chicago Bears, obviously Jermaine Johnson last night, we start to say, well, that's not sustainable, right? Because then when we project that throughout the entire season, we're looking at a guy that has over 20 interceptions.
Sure.
Right? And so that's not the sort of play that we think is championship play.
That's probably a fair point, but the flip side of it is the way the defense is playing, I'll say it again, I would be stunned if any offense can move the ball 70 yards on this defense and score 3 times.
Yeah, with this defense, it certainly makes a big difference, right? Like, they picked him up several times over the course of the last 4 games, right? When he's made a mistake, and it hasn't led directly to points, they've kind of saved him. And that's what makes this team so dangerous. I do think that his points about Stefanski and the kind of quarterback you need to run this offense the most efficiently are very valid, in that Flacco processes things much faster than anybody else that we've seen in this offense, right? And you kind of, even when guys have struggled in this offense, there's never been an issue of, when you look at the all 22, of finding open receivers. There's guys there. He schemes them open, right? So it's just about finding somebody that can deliver the ball on time, and Flacco certainly understands how to do that. I think it's a valid point about the turnovers. I would say one thing about this, and I've talked a little bit about this. I think you can't really, with Flacco, it's kind of like a live by the gun, die by the gun situation, right? You don't want to restrict him or try to rein him in, because then you take away all the special plays that he makes, right? Because he's willing to make some of those throws into tight windows and difficult throws and all that have made this run so magical and made this offense so potent at times. But I would try to take those shots or call those plays that are more dangerous, or shot plays, if you want to call it that, at certain places on the field. I think you can manage that a little better, so that if it is a turnover, it doesn't lead directly to a red zone opportunity for the other offense.
All right, before we go to break, Dan Murphy from the Browns tweets this out. It's really interesting. Kevin Stefanski, 2020 and 2023, joins Hall of Famer Paul Brown, 1951 and 1953, as the only coaches in team history to record multiple seasons with at least 11 regular season wins. If you're mentioned with Paul Brown in the same, and I realize Paul Brown, there were 14-game seasons. It was a shorter season. If you're winning, it's also true that there wasn't as much parity in the NFL. There were some really bad teams that just were bad for decades. Everything is kind of relative. But if you're in the same breath with Paul Brown, you're on the right track. Let's leave it at that.
It's a great statistic. I love it. I will say this. For this season, Stefanski's week-to-week go 1-0 approach is ideal for a situation where you are riddled with injuries. You have to go through 4 quarterbacks. I don't think you could make it through that season without an approach that is, let's just get through this week, right? How many weeks did they not even know who's going to start on Monday, right, this season? But if you take that approach, and clearly everyone is bought in, as you hear all the players saying the same things now, but it's that approach is kind of made for a season that there are so many injuries and you had all these quarterbacks in and out of your lineup. It would be difficult for anybody to manage that. But if you take it 1 week at a time, truly, and live by that, then that's how he's found a way to get through this. And it's a remarkable job. Kevin cannot feel anything but wonderful for Kevin. He's much more comfortable in his skin right now. You can see that in him. He's enjoying this greatly. So I feel great for him. So totally happy for him. Deserves an extension big time.
Brad Ward from the Orange and Brown Report. All Eyes on Cleveland podcast. And I'm going to step aside, take a quick time out. Back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason. Sports4CLE. I'll be right back. Stay with us. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program is dedicated to recognizing exceptional students, teachers, and schools throughout Ohio. Scan the QR code on screen to nominate students and teachers as Academic All-Stars and Teachers of the Month. They must be currently enrolled or teach in grades K through 12. Is your K-12 school developing students' literacy skills to achieve success in reading? If so, you can nominate your school for the School of the Year. Students can win $100, teachers can win $500, and schools can win $2,500. Scan the QR code, fill out the forms, and nominate deserving students, teachers, and schools today. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program takes pride in honoring exceptional students, teachers, and schools across Ohio. Submit your nomination today. It's fun, fast, and free. We continue talking Browns with Brad Ward from the Orange and Brown Report, as well as the All Eyes on Cleveland podcast. Let's head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
With the success that Joe Flacco is having currently with this system and his team as beat up as it is, what can Deshaun learn from Flacco going into 2024? I personally think because of the shoulder injury and the type it is, I'm expecting a slow start, to be honest, next year, kind of like how this year got off to a slow start. But what advice do you think he can give him just how to run this offense? Because essentially this is how the offense should be ran with Deshaun, with just more escapability. That's what I just want to know. Like, what do you think he could tell him that, hey, if you do these type of things, you can run the offense more smoothly, and then you'll have a much easier time in 2024. But thank you and have a nice night, guys.
As always, appreciate all of your voicemails. Brad, different quarterback. I mean, I think the advice is trust your eyes and let it rip. You know what? That's what he's doing. See it and then just let it rip.
Absolutely. It's they're so different quarterback-wise. It's hard to really draw a huge parallel there. But I would say that, yeah, the main thing would be when we saw Deshaun struggling is he wasn't trusting his arm or his eyes, right? Like to deliver the ball when there was a guy open or whatever. It was kind of a confidence thing at times. So if anything, you can't, it feels like you could say to Deshaun, just watch Joe and understand that if you don't have that confidence, you've kind of already lost, right? As a quarterback in the NFL, you have to believe that you can make every throw when you see it and without hesitation. So I would say that would probably be the one thing you could take away from this.
Yeah, and Deshaun Watson can make every throw. That arm is there without question. All right, this is interesting. Touchdown passes this season. Joe Flacco has 13, same number as the Giants and Panthers, 1 more than the Steelers and Titans, 2 more than the Jets. And Joe Flacco hadn't played that many games just yet.
No, that's a remarkable stat, and more than anything, how inept those other offenses are. But really, I mean, Flacco, I mean, it's a magical run right now, right? Like, he's hot at the right time. Guys are finding the end zone for him. The Ford touchdown last night, so improbable. He looked great getting outside the pocket. He looks mobile. I don't ever remember him looking that mobile. Really incredible stuff in a really fun time for Browns fans. But I mean, he's changed this. When he first came in, Dave, I didn't expect him to raise the ceiling of the offense like this. I really didn't, and it's pretty incredible. It makes them a very dangerous team.
So Joe Flacco talked about clinching at home in front of that crowd and having his 4 sons and daughter there to be a part of it.
Yeah, it was special. I mean, this is obviously a very unique situation for me, so a lot of different emotions are going through my head, and just the city's been so unbelievable, and you can tell how hungry they are for, good football, and they've been getting it all year. And I mean, it makes a difference to go out there and play in front of a crowd like that week in and week out. So, like, if we can continue to play good football and these guys can continue to show up like that, I mean, that's just how you build an organization, year after year after year. And this city, you can just tell, like, they love football, and it's special going out there and playing for them. You don't know how many of these moments you're going to get. Not too many people get the opportunity to have kids as old as mine and that understand what's going on. Get to witness this, and I think it's cool for them, but ultimately it's really cool for me. I'm going to remember this for the rest of my life, and it just, anything that you get to do with people that you love, especially your children, they just make everything that much more special. So.
And Brad, it's kind of interesting. So time gives perspective, and that's what you're seeing with Joe Flacco, without question.
Absolutely. And the thing that I took away from what he was saying, even in the Thursday night football interview after the game with his kids there, like, they're old enough, like, to realize this. Like, I think that for him, being away from the game, gaining that perspective, to your point, and then coming back and having your kids at an age where they realize how special it is and they get to see another entire city embrace him like this has got to be incredibly surreal and unbelievable. And you can tell that he's feeling it. So just an awesome night all around for the city of Cleveland, Joe Flacco, everybody involved. But really cool to see his kids down there on the field with them, all wearing the 15 jerseys. They all look just like him. It's funny. But great, you've got to feel good for him. Unbelievable story.
So another one of the new Browns, Juan Thornhill, tweets this out. It's kind of interesting after the clinching. Thornhill, who was pretty vocal about it, tried telling y'all, holding up the whiteboard that says playoffs. And you know what? He did. He was pretty vocal from the beginning that this was a playoff team.
Yeah, he sensed getting around this defense, the kind of talent they had and the players that they had. And even with the injuries, they've persevered through that. And this defense is incredibly good and getting better situationally every week, right? Like, and, the safety depth that has stepped up. You saw Matt Adams cause a fumble on special teams last night, but another guy that you brought in at the beginning of the year making an impact late in the season. All three corners healthy makes this team, with this pass rush, makes this team incredibly fun. And I think Thornhill realized that from the start. So, and he's never been shy on social media, Dave. He's on there a lot. Maybe a little too much.
That's all right. You know what? It's all good when things end up in victories, without question.
That's true.
Brad Ward from the Orange and Brown Report, as well as the All Eyes on Cleveland podcast. Now I'm going to take one more time out. Other side of the break. Are the Browns really legitimate Super Bowl contenders? We'll dive into that. Also, some more about Joe Flacco. Sports4CLE. Be right back. Stay with us.
Holiday gold! The $20 scratch-off?
It has 100 times multiplier. I could win $1 million.
Psych! I got merry and bright.
No fair.
It has a 200 times multiplier. I could win $2 million.
Game on the back.
Game on the back. Game on the back! Game on the back! Game on the back! Game on the back!
We continue talking Browns with Brad Ward from the Orange and Brown Report and the All Eyes on Cleveland podcast. Dan Orlovsky, former NFL quarterback, on what he's seeing from Joe Flacco.
We have to sit there and say there's a reason why, and RC said this before, this is the best quarterback play they've had in 2 years. Mm-hmm. Okay, and one of the reasons is because this offense is the star. This offense doesn't need the quarterback to be the star. Joe Flacco is allowing the offense and the plays to be the star. He's 4-1 as their starter. His passer rating is 100+. He's got 13 touchdowns and 8 picks. It's the perfect situation for him. It's the same offense he ran when he was hot in Baltimore under Gary Kubiak. And if we have to be honest about the situation in Cleveland, why and how can a guy that has been, this is his best season in 5 years now as well. It wasn't like Joe Flacco balled in 2021 or something. Right. It's his best year right now in 5. How can he come from right off of the street essentially and within 5 or 6 weeks take this offense to the playoffs and because of the quarterback play attached with the defense and have its best performance at that position over the course of the last 2 years? Yeah. That's why this is not a lightning in the bottle. There is something that is tangibly there. Maybe it's not with a Joe Flacco specific, but there's definitely something when it comes to why does the offense look better significantly than it has over the course of 2 seasons.
I think.
Well, Brad, I think there's some familiarity, and he kind of touched on it with Kubiak. There's an understanding. He not only knows and reads it, he understands. So he gets to it quickly, and he's deeper into it.
He is. He played in the Kubiak offense. It was his best season. He understands it. And to their point, the offense being the star, Stefanski is much more comfortable calling this offense with him at quarterback. Where you saw with Deshaun and DTR to a lesser extent, and DTR, they kind of reined it back into this a little bit, but you saw that how we talked about the offense changing so much, right, to match Watson and his style of play. Well, when Flacco came, into this equation, Stefanski could really just lean into what he knows best, right, and what style of offense he knows best. He didn't have to incorporate in, trying to set up stuff for a more athletic quarterback or to fit his style, and they may have overthought that a little bit, to be honest, but, everything out of the gun, all that stuff we talked about all off season long. And then when we didn't see the transition, we thought, okay, well, it looks a little bit better this week. It looks a little bit less. With Flacco, you can just lean fully into what he ran in Minnesota, what he ran with Baker, his core offense, and you can tell that he feels so much more comfortable calling the offense this way. And I think that is leading to a lot of the success, a lot of credit to Joe Flacco, but certainly having a guy that processes quickly, has been in the league as long as him, and identifies things as well as him, mixed with this offense that has been the star, to Orlovsky's point, it's clicking. It makes sense. It's all hitting on all cylinders, and Stefanski is calling better games than he ever has all year.
So here's the question. And so Keyshawn Johnson, Michael Irvin, Skip Bayless, are the Browns Super Bowl contenders, serious Super Bowl contenders?
When you have a veteran quarterback like this that knows how to play playoff football, I need you 6 games, man. I just need you to finish it up strong in the regular season and roll into the playoff because the lights aren't too bright for him.
Not too bright.
You just mentioned, you rattled off his success that he's had in the playoff. That's why I give them a straight-up opportunity and a chance to wind up in Vegas. I don't care if it's on the road or at home.
And it's the same offense that he won his MVP, and that run that you just talked about in. He's the same offense, and he just feels more free he's playing this time around.
Listen, Cleveland's ranked by Pro Football Focus the #1 pass rush offense.
Yes.
So you've got that on your side. So would I be on the edge of my seat if I had Cleveland at Baltimore for the championship, to get to the Super Bowl?
Yes.
Oh, God.
Cleveland beat them already.
And again, that's the point being likely going to have to go through Baltimore. And imagine that. You want a story. Joe Flacco goes back to Baltimore and tries to get the Browns, to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, what a scene, right? Unbelievable. I think they are. I don't think anybody wants to, I wrote about this a little bit, I don't think anybody wants to face the Browns. If you are a team in the AFC, you do not want to draw the Browns right now, just because on a week-to-week basis, the defense can shut you down, any quarterback. They've proven that all year long. They've beaten the best teams that they played on their schedule, right? The Ravens, the Niners, right? They can beat anybody when the defense plays well. And now with Flacco elevating the offense and playing as, like they said, freely, the ceiling is there. I'm not willing to put a cap on what they can accomplish this year, right? Like, I think they have taken on kind of a why not us mantra. And I do think they are primed in the right. I always kind of said if they get hot at the right time, and I was thinking with Watson in mind, with this defense, if they get hot at the right time, you never know what they could accomplish. But you're seeing Flacco hot and this defense playing like the best defense in the NFL, and what they can do to opposing offenses. they are absolutely a contender, 100%.
Yeah, and again, I'm not saying they're the favorite by any means, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you I'd be shocked if they go into Kansas City, Miami, Baltimore, any of them, and win.
Yeah, and to your point, the AFC is wide open right now. You know, nobody has run away with this and looks completely dominant. The best team the team that has looked best from a national narrative is the Ravens. They've already gone into Baltimore and beaten the Ravens. So, you know, in divisional matchups are a whole different world, right? Because you are so familiar with each other. So the Browns are already primed as probably one of the better teams equipped to beat Baltimore because they know them so well. So, yeah, absolutely. It's a wide open AFC. And I like the Browns' chances right now. They're hot. You know, I like the draw that they're going to get at the 5 seed probably. Whoever comes.
Yeah, whoever comes out of the AFC South is what he was saying. The only downside is it'll be on the road, but Joe Flacco has won postseason games on the road. It's going to do it for this edition of Sports for CLE. We appreciate the time from Brad Ward, Orange and Brown Report, as well as the All Eyes on Cleveland podcast. Make sure you check them out. Always really good stuff with the Orange and Brown Report and Brad Ward. No shows on Monday or Tuesday. Enjoy the new year. We will see you Wednesday at 4 on Sports for CLE, talking plenty about the Bengals and the playoffs with the Browns. Have a great weekend, everybody. See you Wednesday at 4 on Sports for CLE.